Like a craft beer through a pint glass, these are the gays of our lives. A show where Lisa and Avery get out their gay decoder rings to decipher the gay alphabet and bridge the gap between the older and younger LGBTQ community and everyone fucking else. And now here are your hosts, Lisa and Avery. Don't blame them.
This week on the show we have a pretty cool guest. He's a popular comedian in Bloomington. Our buddy, Logan Scott Hendry.
Oh, I'm not that popular.
We think you are.
Hello, it's nice to... Hello.
Oh my god, you're ridiculous.
So, question, what do you identify as?
Well, it's my gender?
Okay, start
sure.
there.
Okay, I'm just a boy.
Just a boy?
I'm just a boy.
Okay, so what do you identify as sexual orientation?
Well, I think bi, yeah. I mean, bi my whole life, as long as I can remember,
How old are you?
I'm 23.
Oh, you're young.
Yeah. I'm just a boy. Bi. I don't, it's a weird thing. A lot of people don't, understand what that means, I guess. Or, a lot of people when I was younger, when I was, 15 and 16, I started, coming out to, friends or, close adults in my life that I trusted, things like that. And they were just like, oh, it's just like a phase. You'll pick one eventually. It's well, I mean, I've liked, boys and girls since I was, I think the first time I really thought about it, I was 5 when I had a crush on a boy. And then also, was super into the neighbor girl Megan. It was just not, there was never, I was never confused. But everyone else seemed to think I was really very confused.
Wow. So you had the same experience that I did with the girls, but you had it with both. So, and back then, not back then, when you were coming out, I mean, there was gay stuff on TV and stuff, and bi and everything was more acceptable, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, and so I kind of came out in stages, and actually this is kind of a fun event because I think anyone that doesn't know at this point, which is several people in my family, is gonna know now, which is really pretty good.
Hello.
Hi guys, it's just so nice to see you. But I feel like I kind of came out in stages where it was really for a long time I pretty much hid it except for from boys that I was experimenting with or whatever, and then probably when I was 16 or 17, I told my mom, who just fucking knew, and my brother, who was understanding but creeped out a little bit, I think, and I don't know, my aunt, just a few people, my best friend knew, and then from 17 to 21, I just never talked about it, and there were there have been points where I would flat out deny, I was embarrassed for a long time about being bi because so many people on the first round of coming out were you're just confused and you're either gay or straight and you'll figure it out, and so I really just stopped talking about it for 4 years because it didn't seem to matter as much to anyone else as much as it mattered to me, so I figured no point in talking about it, you know what I mean? And then, really, when I moved to Bloomington, probably, which is just so gay, so gay, I became comfortable enough to talk about it and start sort of living that way outside of just my home, going to gay bars and having just the fucking best time.
Did you ever struggle, because you're younger, so a lot of kids struggle with their sexuality, and some of them, unfortunately, even go as far as taking their own life. Did you ever struggle with keeping that inside? Hopefully not as far as suicide thoughts, but
no,
you never struggled with that?
Well, I never really got the depression side of it. Now, there was a lot of like inherent shame, I guess. And usually that lasted for about 3 to 6 hours after, you know, experimenting with a guy generally. But I never, like, I mean, I was always afraid, I guess, that people would find out because I lived in such a small town, and it was a pretty conservative little farm town in the heart of Trump country up, you know, northwest of Indy. And just, you know, it was just like this pressure to be normal. Everybody seemed like normal and Christian and like, you know, some kind of farmer, you know. Nobody was more than, you know, 3 people off from being a fucking farmer, you know? And it felt like embarrassing to be this way in a place where nobody was talking about it. And now that I'm, you know, I'm older and the people that I came up with are older, I'm seeing that a lot more people in my community actually were gay or bi and just hiding that for the same reason that I was. And that feels really good. And I'm able to go home now and be a little more comfortable in my skin and not be so afraid of what people think, which is cool. But
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
yeah.
Do you have something? I have a question if you don't.
No, you go
Okay.
first. Yeah.
So I have a question. The thing that cracks me up is you said people are like, well, you'll figure it out. You're either gay or straight.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't say, oh, it's just a phase. You're, you know, like they did to me. It's just a phase. You're really straight. It's just a phase. They were just like,
Well, and there was some of that.
you're going to be either straight or gay. They didn't agree with you being a bisexual.
Yeah.
And it's probably older people like me. It's like because it was one or the other back in the day, you
Right.
know. And so that's where it was like I talked about with you. It's like, okay, come explain this.
Right. Well, I think the atmosphere around talking about queerness in my hometown was that, like, basically any women you told, you know, or, you know, girls that you were close to, it was like, oh, you're straight. You'll figure it out. You're straight, you know. And then with any dude you told, they were like, no, you're fucking gay. You know what I mean? Like, no, you're gay, dude. Don't come around me with that shit. Like, fucking, all right, you be that, but don't fucking look at me weird. Like, basically, it was like that. It's like, oh, fucking calm down, Deliverance. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, dude, your beer belly and your hairy tits are really doing it for me, brother. I appreciate it. But it was always like people thought I was one or the other. Nobody really was willing to just, because nobody understood what bi. I mean, even now there's still confusion about it. I mean, you know.
That's why I'm like, I want somebody who actually identifies as bi to come in and kind of explain it some.
Sure.
Well, that's why I was excited to have Logan, because then all of a sudden I was like, that guy's so bi. Like, and I was like, well,
I'm like, are you sure?
Well, and it's just, we've hung out like so often in Bloomington. It's just funny to hear him check out both sexes because it is a college town. And it does, you know, and he is 23.
There are a lot of people right there in my age group
and
of many genders.
And he loves to, like, and it's just funny because then I was just like, because yeah, I heard him say it on stage, but like when I first went down there, when it was at Bear's place, not Mama Bear's place, and it was like, it was just funny because he said it on stage, and I'm like, okay, like, he's bi, but he's, like, gay.
Yeah.
But then you could, like, ride in a car with him for, like, 5 minutes, you're like, you're so bi.
That's, I've never heard somebody say, you're so bi.
But
like,
he is.
So
he's,
gay,
like, that's just what he is.
But no, I know, and that's what's
like,
cool.
And here's where I get into some, I feel like, cloudy territory with my sexuality is, I am so bi in the sense that I'm, like, I'm a sexual person. Like, I'm a very... Like, if I can put on my NPR voice, touch is my love language. If you like, it's how I express affection most clearly. I think because I don't always I'm good with my words in certain scenarios. Anybody I'm into super nervous. I don't. So just I'm a sexual person and I've never. Felt really romantically connected to any men that I've been with, which is something that a lot of people think is interesting or weird, and honestly pisses off a lot of people. But it's like I find romantic connections to be most fulfilling with women, and I generally find sexual experiences to be mostly fulfilling with men. And I think for a lot of people it's uncomfortable not to know that, but to hear it out loud. because usually the dude that like is into fucking guys and loving women is like your high school football coach, like, and he's super secretive about it. Like, it's just what I mean.
Or like they say Pence. I mean he's
for
closeted
sure.
gay, but he has a wife.
Absolutely.
Kind of like that,
Yeah, mother.
Yeah, right. But see, that intrigues me. That so sexually you enjoy men better, but romantically you enjoy women.
I don't think. I think the sex aspect of it I enjoy equally. Like there's certain things I like about both. Like for example, when I'm being intimate with a woman physically, there's no penis, and that's a real downside to that. But then also when sometimes, well, and that's not necessarily true. I mean, I've had trans partners and things like that, but then with men there are things that I don't get, but where I couldn't get. I mean, it's just
Okay.
it's a spectrum.
Question.
Yes.
So here's my question. You said you've had trans. Now, wouldn't that be called pansexual then? That's where the confusion is for me being an older.
I understand the confusion, and that is like a muddy territory for me too. Like it's cloudy, But I identify as bi because, generally speaking, there are the people that I have been with identify as a man or a woman. Now, whether they're trans or it makes no difference to me. There are qualities of femininity that I find really lovely and appealing, and there are qualities of masculinity that I find really lovely and appealing. So those are the things that draw me in.
Mm-hmm.
So I identify as bisexual.
As opposed to like a non-binary energy where they're really so down the middle. Is that what you're saying? I'm just trying to follow.
I've had sex partners like that.
Yeah.
And that's
Non-binary? You've had those kind of partners? I'm sorry, I'm trying to make sure I said it right. I'm trying.
You've had those though?
Where'd you get them?
Where'd you get one of them?
Well, they go by them and they, right? So
yeah, no.
Those
but
is
I
what
don't think,
that's why I stuttered.
No, I used to have a gender non-binary partner, but they accused me of talking about them like they weren't there.
That's such a bad joke.
That's so stupid.
We're gonna have one in because I need them to explain it to me.
Sure.
Because I don't understand that at all. So I mean, like the them and they and the those that I just did.
I would try, but I always fuck it up.
Well, that's what I mean. I want somebody who really understands it because I don't understand it, and I admit that. Like bisexual, I don't get it.
Right.
I'm not gonna act like I do,
Right.
because when I was growing up, really the lesbians didn't believe they were bisexuals. And there were no trans, really, back then. So, I mean, it was just something. So, nowadays, and kids are coming out as bi. It seems like more often now. We talked about that once with our allies. And so, like it's a phase. But I think it's more of a transition to come out. I think it's easier for them to come out, oh, I'm just bi, I'm just tiptoeing in.
Mm-hmm.
And then instead of just going, boom, I'm gay.
Right.
So, but for you've been out since...
Like I said, first round, maybe 6 people knew when I was 16, 17. And then 20 really is when I kind of shirked it, /21 when I found the gay bars. Where I just said, fuck it, I'm just all the way bi. Which, it's like almost, what's the word I'm looking for? Contradictory, all the way bi.
Well, and it's we've said this since the very first podcast. It stinks that people have to identify and claim to be something. And I don't know if we do it for us as much as we do for other people to make them comfortable.
Right.
Because I really want to understand. So that's why I ask, what do you identify as? That's me. And I'm in the community. So the cisgender doesn't understand this for sure. So that's, I mean, I don't know. That's you saying, yeah, I date trans, but I'm not pan. To me, I'm like, okay, that means because, like, he is a guy. I mean, so it's really how you look at it. Perception is reality.
Right. To me, Avery's just a man.
Yeah.
you know, and really a very handsome man, you know, and
Oh God.
you know.
You know I love hearing it.
We're not going to get you out of this room. That door's not that big.
That's okay. I think the window is.
You know, I don't, you know, if I were, you know, to be with Avery, that's just being with a man or any trans man, because that's how they identify, and it's not my responsibility to call myself something different for being with a man. You know what I mean?
That makes total sense.
Sure.
Nope, that one totally clicked with me.
Right? That makes sense to me now. Thank you. You gotta explain it like I'm a third grader.
Sure.
And you just have to call me handsome, so I listen the whole time.
Jesus.
So.
All right.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's definitely like, it's interesting to be bi. I like it. I have a lot of fun with it. I'm glad to be at a point where I'm okay to talk about it, because for a long time, you know, I wasn't. I was really fucking embarrassed about who I am and what I enjoy, and that's a harmful feeling. And that's how so many people, especially like people who identify as, you know, very hard, you know, gay or very, you know, hard trans, that they have such a hard time because there's so much shame built around it. Just as a society, we build up these, you know, these certain molds for people, and when they don't live in that, we just fucking embarrass them, and it is shameful. You know what I mean? When I was 8, I had a family member who I might not have even been 8 yet, I might have been 7, and it was a family member who is a male role model in my life to this day, who I'm very close to, and I look up to, and I spend quite a bit of time with. Because, I mean, he's changed a lot since this time, but I was, like I said, 7 or 8, and we were driving in the car out of nowhere, and he said, if you ever turn out to be gay, I'll just throw you in the fucking river. And it was it was horrifying to me, because I'd already had those feelings, you know, in my life. And that's a big part of the reason why I shut it down for so long, and why I just carried it for myself, was because somebody that I trusted and loved and looked up to made it feel like something that I deserved to die for. And now he's a very different person, and he knows about who I am and how I am, and he jokes with me about it, and we, you know, we're able to talk about it and have a relationship around that. And, you know, and like my dad, when I was 14, 13, before he passed, gave me the sex talk, you know, and he was just you know, conservative small town dad, you know, he was a fucking cop. He didn't, you know, he didn't have all the right words, I guess.
Yeah.
And he was trying to give me the sex talk, and he's like, you know, no matter how you identify, I'll always love you, but I don't understand why one man would be attracted to another man's, I swear to God, he said, another man's hairy asshole.
I agree with him on that.
And, well, and sure, and I, you know, and I don't, it's not the hair that I like. The asshole.
No, that is the asshole. It's deeper than that.
Well, exactly, it is deeper than that, hopefully.
But I think being of my sexual persuasion and having to deal with strong men in my life that I admired, you know, the types of men that young men latch on to for guidance and strength and, you know, a sense of character and self. And to have them sort of diminish what I was feeling inside of myself. Maybe they had some inkling about, you know, my, you know, sometimes rather effeminate tendencies, which I'm not shy about, you know.
No.
I mean, I'm pretty much a man's man. Like, I hunt and I fish and I shoot guns, and I love that side of myself. But also, there's a big side of myself that just loves to, you know, go bump and grind with the boys in the gay club. Like, there's no mold for me. And so to see that side of myself, which I knew existed, be diminished by these strong men in my life, really drove me to hide that part of myself for a long, long time. And now that I'm more open about who I am, I'm happier. And I don't know that they're happier, but I don't really give a shit anymore, and that feels good.
Well, yeah, and that's sad, but to that extent, that's not as bad as a lot of these kids have it. I mean, and that's
Yeah.
horrible.
Oh yeah.
That's horrible, and that causes people to go in hiding,
Absolutely.
and it's so bad.
Absolutely. I'm lucky that it's probably this should have come up sooner. But my mother, after she left my dad, well, she had another boyfriend after my dad, but then she was with a woman named Kathy for years after that. From like probably like from 5 to 9 in my life. She was with a woman, engaged to a woman, to be married, and this was in 2000 to 2004, 2003, before.
Wow.
I mean, obviously, gay marriage was not legal.
Yeah.
But it wasn't something that we talked about a lot in our society. It was just, if you
Yeah.
talked about it, it was to say that, you know, we're not letting them get no marriages because what's next, you know? Like,
Animals.
Parent
yeah,
insurance.
animals, like, yeah.
The ridiculous things you do want.
But, and my mom was the first person I told in my life that was like an immediate family adult that was just right away. She was like, yeah, I've known since you were 10 and it's fine. And she was just very good about it. And she is the person really that gave, you know, she wasn't always, you know, everything that I needed, you know. But in that aspect, she was very much what I needed. And my stepdad was very much what I needed.
That's awesome.
He really was accepting. And
Did she say, I always thought you were gay, or I always knew you were gay? I mean,
no, she always, because I was always, I mean, such, and still to this day, just a very flirtatious person. And I would flirt with all of my mother's adult friends, and not really the guys so much, but I
so
would
she
flirt
knew
with
you were bi.
any women, yeah. And she just always had that, and she identified as bi her whole life too. I mean, since she said she was 5 or 6, she knew that she liked both. So that was really
That was probably helpful.
affirming. Yeah, it was helpful,
A
definitely.
lot, yeah.
And even in because my mother, like I said, I was like 15 or 16, maybe 17 when I came out to her, and she already knew. So even in the years after that I did not talk about it and hid it and was embarrassed and would deny it flat out if people brought it up that knew. Having my mother be someone that when I was ready, because I always knew there would come a time when I was ready to be out,
Mm-hmm.
that she would have been the person that was always there and always made it okay. And that was really, really comforting.
So do you see yourself settling down with a woman eventually, maybe, and get married? Because you said you can't get emotionally with the men.
It's not that I can't.
Or you
that
haven't
I
yet.
couldn't. I mean, there have been, when I was still closeted, mostly, there were men that I felt like I was in love with, and that I didn't know it or admit it to myself because I was closeted. I have been in love with men since I've been out. I haven't met one that clicked with me. They're all kind of dicks and not very cool. But they're fun partners sexually. I don't think that so far I haven't met a man that I would ever envision myself settling down with. I have always wanted a wife and a family and kids, and you know, am I opposed to that? No. Do I think I could meet a man that would just knock my fucking socks off and I would want to be the father of my children? Sure. But right now, I don't see that for myself. I've never felt enough of a romantic connection with a man for me to see that for myself.
So my naive question is, if you end up finding a woman, got married, and had kids, would you be okay with never being with a man again? So you would want it.
It would be. I feel uncomfortable ever. Monogamy is upsetting.
Okay.
It's so old and stupid.
So there's more labels we could go through too.
Yeah, lots. But I think, you know, if I was in a relationship with someone and I was in love with them and committed to them, and they didn't want to be in a poly relationship, I could be faithful to one person and love one person, and that would be fine. my ideal partner is someone who is also willing to spread out and experiment and have, because as sexual agency, I feel like to limit that to one person, to the entire scope of your sexuality for the rest of your life, to be with one person, that's terrifying. I see people I want to fuck every third person. You know what I mean? Could you imagine? Goodness Lord.
I'm so the
I'm
opposite.
telling you, like 5 minutes in the car with him, and you already know
I'm
all this.
so the opposite. Am I not?
No,
Am I
it's true.
Totally
you
opposite.
even joke about putting Sears on a dating app, and she makes sure that you know that she means it when she says she doesn't want you to make her a date.
No.
Do you know how much time it takes to set one of those profiles? I wouldn't put you through that. Oh my gosh! Plus, then you'd be like, "How do you use this thing?" If you ever did want to use that thing.
Really? Fuck off. He's such a dick. I appreciate you explaining it though, because I mean, I really don't understand it. And I'm the first to admit that. I'm stupid about that stuff. Because it was different when I came out. So I mean, appreciate you explaining it to us. I mean,
it's my pleasure.
And it's intriguing to me when you say, I just would rather not settle down and could be with, which makes a lot of sense, I guess, to me.
Right.
And when we had somebody come in that was pan and poly, and she explained the poly to the point that I understood it better too. And the way you just explained it made a lot more sense. You're like, well, I don't want to just settle for one. I like them both.
Right.
So how am I going to decide? Right. So.
And I mean, like I said, I could if I fell in love with someone, because I do want a family. I've always wanted to be a dad. I think I'd be real fucking good at it. I love babies, and if they're really very good, and I want that for myself. If I, met someone that I was in love with and she didn't want to be poly, I could do that, and that would be fine. But it would not. I would not feel completely fulfilled, and I would hope that, whoever I meet in my life that is so good that I'm willing to commit my life to them, they probably have enough in common with me that they don't just want to fuck me either. I look terrible. I smell weird most of the time. I don't only fuck me. That's weird. If this is all you're into, like, what the fuck are you doing?
Wow.
Okay, well, don't talk about yourself.
Yeah,
I feel like we've had
I
this discussion
love myself. I feel very good about who I am and how I am.
Things to say,
Yeah.
though.
I think I look good. I like what I see in the mirror.
I like how you dress most of the time too. I think
Thank you.
you're very fashionable. I like your sweater vest that you wear on stage.
Thanks.
Yeah,
I'm not saying I don't think I'm unattractive. I'm just saying I don't. Why only this? That's weird. That's a weird thing to only be into. It's a very small niche.
it's a niche market for sure. For sure.
You got anything else?
No, I think he did a fabulous job explaining it. And really, it's funny because before this, Logan was telling me, he's like, is you or your friend a good interviewer? Because it's really hard to get information out of me. And then you started just talking.
Yeah, I didn't know. It was like a river. Ooh, it just flowed right out of me.
There you go, yeah.
Felt good, honestly.
Good.
I always wanted to be a river.
River
Which
run
one,
through
though?
it.
Which one?
Yeah, this was good. This felt
Thank
nice.
you so much. Appreciate it.
Honestly, thank you. And to my family, who may hear about this and is just now finding out, grow up. You fucking knew. Shut up.
Don't forget, you can look at our Instagram and Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to be on the show, just reach out and send us an email.
Yeah, there's a contact us page on our website. Excuse me.
Follow me on Instagram too. It's loganhendry.comedy.
There we go.
Right on.
All right.
Got it.
Got it.
I did a plug.
There you go.
This has been Gays of Our Lives. Make sure to check out the Gays online at www.laughs.life. And since Lisa and Avery don't have a lot of money, this episode has been brought to you by
Higher Life CBD Dispensary for all your CBD needs. Located downtown Indianapolis at 901 North Pennsylvania Street. And make sure you tell him the gays sent ya. And by Morgan & Company Designs for all your custom t-shirt needs.